My name is Evin Peavy. I'm a real estate developer in Cleveland, Ohio. I grew up on the southeast side of Cleveland, Lee and Harvard. And right now, we're in one of my projects that I've just completed. It's a 5-unit apartment building, and it just shows you a little bit of what we're doing. So the type of development that I do is real estate development, and not just real estate development, because right now we're in one of my storefronts that we're doing, a boutique storefront. But as you can see, this was a vision that I had, and I consider myself a visionary. So this started out as just a gutted frame building when I purchased it, and we did the entire rehab from top to bottom, from everything that you see, from the floors all the way through. And right now it's at 100% occupancy, and I'm happy with how it turned out. Someone I was dating at the time, her brother was a general contractor, and we were looking to purchase our first home. And we purchased a condo, and I helped him just through the whole rehabbing process. And after we got done with the process, I'm like, man, why don't we start a company up like this? And he was like, I just ain't got the time for it. And I just seen how the process went. I ended up just duplicating that over and over again with just more so residential properties. And now we started to scale up, and now we're doing multi-units and commercial projects at this point. Well, right now we're on West 59th and Denison. And the reason why we chose to come over here is because it's a diversified area. We kind of want to do a cool project over in this area. We have a lot of doctors that we actually rent the apartments out to, short-term leases as well as long-term leases. And we kind of wanted to bring a more luxury to this area, because it wasn't that many on this Denison strip that you would see. So my long-term plan for this project was we were actually trying to get a bit of that Ohio City spill out. So the thing that's going on in Ohio City, the Detroit Shoreway, we were actually trying to be early for the spill out that's coming over into this area. Right now, this is considered the stockyards. And growing up on the southeast side of Cleveland, you asked me what was something that inspired me. I kind of had one of those things where it was a little bit of a reverse type of thing. I didn't see a lot of people that I really aspired to be like, but I saw a lot of people that I didn't want to be like. So that reverse actually motivated me to want, different things. And growing up in the area, the city changes a lot now, but it wasn't really a bunch of outlets that you can really go to. When you think about a certain side of town, like if you think about the Glenville program, they had a lot of outlets as far as what they were doing over with that academy. We didn't really have that outlet to go, sports way. We didn't have that outlet to go really do media or music. It wasn't really that type of thing. So you kind of had to, figure out what you're gonna do, or things could have got real bad for you. You could be sitting around there drinking beers right now. It's a funny story. When I was in high school, I didn't know anybody who legally made $100,000. So I remember I was talking to my principal. His name was Mr. Miles, and I asked Mr. Miles, like, how much money you make? And he was like, I make $100,000. And it just blew my mind that he made $100,000. I was like, man, you make $100,000? How you make $100,000 being a principal? Because I didn't think, you used to hear these things that the teachers didn't make as much money. And so, he was the first person that I ever heard say he made $100,000. And I just thought that was like the biggest thing in the world. But that same moment that me and him was having, he came back to me and told me, that ain't enough money. And I'm like, what you mean? I'm like, $100,000, man, you can live a good lifestyle. He said, man, after I get down, and now this is all subjective. This is subjective to, because riches isn't tied to any dollar amount. But he said, I got 4 kids. I believe he said he had 4 kids at the time. He said, once I break my wife off of my kids, man, he said, I might take on $20,000. So, in that moment, I went back into I was looking through all the books in school of all the jobs that paid $100,000. And I said, man, the moment I got up here, he kind of just knocked me right back down. I said, man, I might have to, because all the people that I knew that was making $100,000, it wasn't legal $100,000. And like I said, I seen a lot of people that I was inspired by this guy momentarily, but I didn't like how his story ended. So I was like, man, how can I find a way to do what he did, but still be around? When I went to the library, and I was looking through the pages, I was looking for all the jobs that is paid over $100,000, and I'm going through the whole list of things. I'm looking around, I'm like, well, I really don't want to be no doctor. I really don't want to be, I think the closest thing was an X-ray technician. I said, that might be easy, man. I might be able to get that done. So I saw a pilot. made $100,000. I said, you know what, man? I said, I can do that. I had just watched the movie Catch Me If You Can. I said, oh, man, I can do this. So when I went to my guidance counselor, I said, I see what I want to be. And I showed him, I said, I want to be a pilot. My guidance counselor tell me, you can't be no pilot. I say, why is that? He said, you got to go to the Army to be a pilot. And he just shot me down and he crushed my dreams with that one, man. And I remember sitting back thinking, as I got older, I said, man, you know, I found out that that wasn't true. I said, man, but I don't fault him, because when I was in there talking to him, he was picking the stuff up. He was ready to get out the door, so he was just trying to get me on out the door. But I don't think he knew what he did in that moment affected me. I don't even think it was intentional. But so a lot of my motivations, I may have had a chip on my shoulder from that point, you know. So I used to be like, you know, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that, and I really stick my chest out. And it's kind of how you said earlier, I kind of pit bull my way through. You know, and my same thing. I always had I grew up in a household where my father was a career criminal. My mother was a government worker. So these two things, we had more than the average person would have in the neighborhood because of the lifestyle that my father would have. And my mother would basically keep it all together. You know, my father, when he goes away, then my mother would be carrying the load. So that goes back to, I saw things that I did not want to be. Like, I liked the things that came with that when it was good, but when it wasn't good, I didn't like that part that went with it. So I think that played a part in some of the luxury things that I like. So when we come in and we do a building like we're in now, the reason why I want to bring luxury living to these areas is because of some of the things I experienced. You know, and I felt like a lot of areas get deprived of this. So when you see gentrification like what's going on in Ohio City, you're seeing a bunch of those nice new buildings pop up, but then you branch further out to where we're at now on Denison, and you don't start to see those type of things. So I want to kind of bring those things to areas like this, and not just areas like this, but areas where people look like me as well. So like when we talk about the Huff areas or the Wade Park areas or just predominantly black areas. The question is, what inspires me, or who inspired me? And I was like, man, I can't just say one particular person inspired me, because I'm constantly being inspired every single day. You know, I'm inspired by even this moment that we're having right now. When I see the cultural gardens and I see the black stone and just how it's like, it's almost built on top of, you know, what's in our DNA. Like, you see the black and you see the gold, and you say, man, I relate to this right here. You know, I can relate to what this looks like, the stone and all that. I even had a chance to take a trip to Africa. And then when I went to Africa, I had this misconception in my head. And even the people that I talked to, I told them, I'm going to Nigeria. They like, man, what you going over there for, man? You gonna catch the plague or Ebola or something? I'm like, man, come on, man. You can't be, you can't have that type of mindset. But this is the mindset that a lot of us have. And you get over there, and I was in places like Abuja. And Abuja reminds me of kind of what we're doing over, what's going on over with the cultural gardens. You get there and you start to see, like, man, these people live in luxurious, and some of the aesthetics that you have is because of, it's not an American aesthetic, it's an African aesthetic. So some of those things that we think may be run down is really just the aesthetic of that place. So I think that, the cultural gardens, I can relate to that. So the role that I want to play in the African American cultural gardens is I want to bring people who may not know anything about the gardens or the luxuries that may be attached to it. I want to bring awareness to them. So like I said, some of the people from my world may not even know that it exists. So, if you want to go and you just hanging out and you just popping and having a good time and you sliding around, you need somewhere to go stop and go park at. You need to know awareness of where it is at. The same thing when we talk about if you're having a wedding, it'd be an excellent place to have a wedding at. And any way that I can bring awareness, or I can contribute to the build of it, the cleanup of it, just bringing any type of substance to it, I'm with it. I think it's well overdue. I think it's well overdue because when you think about some of the areas, far as you got the Irish town you got Little Italy, you got, I went to play basketball at the JCC. You have everybody, and you start to see they all get the chance to champion their race and their culture. And it's, a lot of times we don't have that inside of our culture. Where is the place that you go when you think about the luxuries of the black culture in Cleveland? Do you know a place? Right now, that could be the place. The cultural gardens could be that place, or at least the start of it. We do have, a lot of black entrepreneurs that's doing beautiful things in the city, but where is the area that you go to and you can feel safe, you feel good, you go and you just go hang out, and it's like, man, I don't want to have to go and escape and go to Chagrin Falls and go do something. I'm like, I'm hiding out here and I can't relate. I got to walk in that place and I got to, change my posture because they may not know, they can't decipher me from somebody they may think is a thug or somebody they think is problematic in the area. I want to go somewhere where people relate to me and they understand, what's going on. And, I think that the cultural gardens is one of the places that we can start. I think a lot of those areas we're talking about with Huff, I think that's a a nice area to start bringing those things to the city that our culture can benefit from. The advice I would have for the younger generation is shoot your shot. Take a chance at being remembered. You might hit. You can have 1,000 misses, and that one time that you hit, that you up through. You get all the way up through off that one hit. So like I said, you can be. You're going to be met with a bunch of resistance. You're going to have people telling you, man, what if it don't work? What if it do work? You're going to have people, man, what if we go broke doing this? What if we get rich? The 50-50 chance don't fall on the side of the negative side of why it won't work. Maybe it will work. Maybe you might be remembered for something. Maybe you might be the biggest thing to ever come through here. Use your brain to think of things outside of your current situation that you're in right now. If you don't have nothing right now, visualize yourself with it. Venture out a little bit outside of what you know. Take a chance on doing something that you're probably not comfortable doing. That's one of the things that helped me a lot. Like I said, growing up in Leon Harbor, I never even went over to the lake. Once I finally got over to the lake, the next thought came in my head, man, maybe I can get me a yacht. That going over to the lake made me think, man, maybe I'll give me a yacht, maybe give me a jet ski. Maybe I'll start with a jet ski. Maybe let me go rent one. So just think outside of your current situation. And then I think that's the start of it. And I think from there, like I said, you get right on through.
Hello, everyone. I'm Leon Bibb.
The African American Cultural Garden, one of the many cultural gardens on Martin Luther King Drive, celebrates the African American experience. Part of the garden is already completed on the upper level. It represents the past with the door of no return. You can walk between the black granite walls and imagine the fearful experience of those taken from Africa in tight quarters on slave ships.
This is Danita Harris from News 5. What has not been built yet is a channel for water that cascades down the hill, representing the Middle Passage on the Atlantic Ocean. It leads to a black granite terrace that will host events. It is etched with the Little Dipper and the North Star, which guided thousands of enslaved people to freedom in the North.
I'm Wayne Dawson. The water will continue to flow down the hillside in reference to the Ohio River and the Great Lakes that facilitated the journey to a better life. It also marks the continued struggle of black people to the present. The garden will end at Martin Luther King Drive. The entire structure will symbolize the spirit and tremendous resilience of our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents who came from the South to a better life in the North.
This is Harry Boomer. The future platform beside the MLK Boulevard's walking trail will have benches and a water feature that gives homage to our past and hope to our future generations that anything is possible regardless of the challenges.
This is Obi Shelton. Let's finish it. The African American Cultural Garden has a portion already built at the top of the hill. With your help, it will cover the entire hill as a magnificent tribute to those who came before us, as well as a symbol of pride and hope for future generations. We need your donations of money, time, and energy to make it happen. Everybody can contribute something. We can do it. Click the support button to get involved. Let's finish it.